Today we're going to wrap up our review of fractions by looking at applying order of operations. So a quick reminder, most of you probably know what's known as BEDMAS, where the B stands for brackets, E stands for exponents, D stands for division, M is multiplication, A is addition, and S is subtraction. And then you'll notice I also put here, sometimes instead of BEDMAS, people will refer to it as PEDMAS. So they actually talk about the brackets as being parentheses. And I also want you to know that when you're talking about division and multiplication, that is always the same level. So what that means is you don't have to do a division before a multiplication. What I always say is make sure you work from left to right. That's usually easiest. And then same thing with addition and subtraction. It's not as if addition has to happen before subtraction. They are also the same level. For the first example, we have 5/6 minus 1/3 times 3/4. So if I look at my BEDMAS, there's no brackets, no exponents, but I do notice there's a multiplication. So this has to happen first. So I will go top times top, I get 3, bottom times bottom, I will get 12. So now I'm going to think of this as 5/6 minus 3/12. Now, an option here, you could reduce this down, you could simplify it, but what I know about fractions, when you are adding or subtracting, you have to have the same denominator. So instead of simplifying, I'm going to look and think about, well, there's a 12 here and a 6 here. So we call that our lowest common denominator. So the smallest number that 6 and 12 divide evenly into is going to be 12. And then that means I'm going to take this 5/6, I want to write it with a bottom of 12. So I'm going to double this, but you have to also double the top. So 5/6 would be like having 10/12, and then still minus 3/12. Now when I subtract 10 minus 3, I'm going to get 7 over, and don't forget when you add subtract with fractions, denominators stay. So then our final answer for this would be 7/12. Question B, you have 3 divided by 3/4 plus 5 times 1/2. So I'll notice there's actually a division going on and a multiplication and an addition. So these operations have to happen first. The multiplication and the division have to happen before the addition. But because these are technically the same level, I can do them at the same time, right? So 3 divided by 3/4, maybe I'll show the work on the side. So 3 divided by 3/4 is the same thing as 3. So you keep the first, change multiplication, multiply by the reciprocal. So you're going to flip it. So 3 times 4/3, which is like 12/3, which actually has a value of 4. Okay, so sometimes it's nice to do your work on the side. So I know that this will be equal to 4. And then 5 times 1/2. This is a bit easier. I could just actually show the work right here. So 5 times 1 is 5. And then remember, this is like over 1. So 1 times 2 would give me 2. So I have a 1 and a 2. I need to find that lowest common denominator. So I need the smallest number that 1 and 2 divide evenly into. Right? And that smallest number is going to be 2. So I want to write this as a 2. I would have to double the bottom. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to also do to the top. So I'll double the top. So 4 over 1 is like you having 8 over 2. So 8/2. And then still plus the 5 over 2. Now we're good. Bottom is matched, denominators match. So we're allowed to go 8 plus 5, which is 13, over the 2 just stays. The question didn't have a mixed number to start with, so you could leave your final answer like this, or if you wanted, you could say this is like having 6 and 1/2. Last example, a little bit more going on. we have 3.5 divided by 3/4 minus 1 2/3 plus 5/6. So I would probably suggest right away, change your mixed numbers to improper. So I actually have two mixed numbers here. 3.5, I'm going to think about 2 times 3 is 6, add 1, that's like 7/2. Still divided by the 3/4. The minus stays, the bracket has to stay. And then 1 2/3 would be like 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2, that's like 5/3 plus 5/6. So all that happened, change from mixed to improper, change from mixed to improper. Okay, then I'm going to look, so there's a division, there's a subtraction, there are brackets, and then there's an addition here. So according to our BEDMAS, okay, we do have brackets going on, so I am going to clean this up first. So I'm going to take 5/3 plus 5/6. And again, sometimes it's easier to show your work on the side. So I have 5/3 plus 5/6. Bottoms don't match, but I have a 3 and a 6. So I can think of lowest common denominator, smallest number that both of these divide evenly into is 6. So then I am going to times this by 2, times this by 2. I will end up with 10, 6 plus 5/6, which is like having 15/6. Now, because I'm not finished the question, definitely don't change that back into a mixed number. You'll just have to undo that in the next step. So leave it as improper. We'll show that this became 15/6. Next, so I'm down to a division and a subtraction. And these brackets now, because we've actually done the operation, I actually don't need them, so I'll get rid of them. If you left them, that's totally fine. Okay, so now I'm going to go 7/2 divided by 3/4. And again, I like to show the work on the side. So 7/2 divided by 3/4 is like you having 7/2, change it to multiplication, flip. So that's like 7/2 times 4/3. Top times top, you will get 28. Bottom times bottom, you will get 6. So this will become 28/6. Still minus the 15/6. And what's kind of nice, checking, so I'm going to subtract, bottoms have to match, so we're good. Then I'll go 28 minus 15 will give us 13/6. The question did give you mixed numbers to start off with, so you could also state it as 2 and 1/6. So now the plan is to try some practice questions tied to this. There are quite a few on this practice sheet, and they're not numbered, so well they are, but they're numbered like 1 ABC, 2 ABC. So instead of being able to say evens or odds, what I suggest, try every second question. If it goes well, then you're good to go. If you struggle a bit, you have optional questions you can try as additional practice. And then I'm also going to post some extra sheets that if you find that these questions are too easy and you want more of a challenge, then you are more than welcome to try the optional ones. Have a great day.